Hey guys, so now that we've learned about if statements, while loops, for loops, and do while loops, I kind of wanted to tie it all together by doing an exercise with you. So let's go to codingbat.com again. And this time we're going to go to logic 2 and let's do make chocolate. Alright, so let's read the problem. We want to make a package of goal kilos of chocolate. We have small bars, which is a kilogram each, and big bars, which is 5 kilograms each. Return the number of small bars to use, assuming we always use big bars before small bars, and return -1 if it can't be done. Okay, here we see that the first number is the amount of small bars, the second number is the amount of big bars, and the third number is the goal amount of kilograms we're trying to reach. So with 4 small bars and 1 big bar, that means we're using all 4 of the small bars, right? Because 1 big bar is 5 kilograms, and then this is each a kilogram each. So 5 plus 4 becomes 9. Here we've got 1 5-kilogram bar of chocolate and 4 kilograms of chocolate, but 5 plus 4 is 9, which is less than 10, so it's not doable. All right, and then here we have 1 5-kilogram and 4 1-kilogram bars of chocolate, but in this case our goal is only 7 kilograms. So with the 5-kilogram bar used, only 2 of the small bars are used. Cool, so the variable small is the amount of small bars we're having. The variable big is the amount of big bars we have, and then goal is the amount of kilograms we're trying to reach. So first, why don't we make a variable called weight, and I'm going to give it a base value of 0. And this is where we'll keep track of how many kilograms we have at each point. So considering how big bars are used before small bars, the first thing I want to do is just add up all my big bars to see how many kilograms I have. So for that, we're going to use a for loop. And I'm going to start with 0, and while it's less than big, I++, and I'm just going to add 5, right? So what this is doing is weight equals weight plus 5 and then assigning it back. Cool, so at this point I've added up all of the big bars we have, but let's say my goal was like 10 and I have 3 big bars, right? That means I have more big bars than I need for my goal, right? Because if each big bar is 5 kilograms each and our goal is 10 kilograms, then I only need to use 2 of the big bars and not 3. But at this point, I've just added up all of the big bars that we have. So we might have more chocolate than we actually want. So for that, I'm going to use a while loop, but I'm going to say while the weight is greater than the goal, while this condition is true, I'll just subtract 5 kilograms from the weight. Okay, so this way we're making sure that we haven't accidentally added extra bars. Or let's say our goal was like 13 kilograms and we had 3 big bars, right? Then 15 would be greater than 13, and we don't want that. So that means we have an extra big bar, so we're just going to subtract it. Okay, this is great. But let's say it's an even number, right? Let's say it's a multiple of 5, our goal, if it's 5 kilograms or 10 kilograms. So we only need to use big bars and none of the small bars. And what this thing wants is the number of small bars that we're going to use. So that means that if at this point my weight is already equal to the goal, I'm just going to return 0. And again, we'll go over what the return keyword means, but basically you want to return whatever value it's asking for. So you just use the return keyword and then whatever value you're trying to pass back. So at this point, if the weight equals goal, then I'm going to return 0 because I used none of the small bars and only big bars to reach the goal weight. But now, after this, by the way, a small note about the return keyword, at this point, when it sees returns, it gives the value back, and then whatever code comes after your return statement doesn't get executed. So that means that like if my goal was, let's say, 10 kilograms and I had 2 big bars, then at that point my weight is equal to the goal, right? So we use none of the small bars, so whatever code I put after this is not going to get executed in that case. But if this statement is false, then this statement does not get executed. So whatever code I put after will still be run. So that means that if I've reached this point, That means that now we have to use the small bars to reach our goal weight. So for this, I'll use a for loop, and I'll say while it's less than the small, right? Because now we want to add as many small bars as we can to reach the goal weight. So I'll just say weight plus plus, since each small bar only weighs 1 kilogram. But after adding, if my weight equals the goal, then I'll just return I. Now that's where this starting from 0 becomes a problem. So I'm actually going to start from 1 and do it while it's less than or equal to. So what we're doing here is, let's say like I have 2 big bars, right? So big equals 2, small equals 4, and my goal is 13 kilograms, right? So now my big, we've had, at this point right here, at the beginning of this for loop, we have 10 kilograms of chocolate, and we need to reach 13. So as long as I have small bars remaining, I'm going to add that goal. But we have more small bars than our goal, right? I said we have 4 small bars, but we only need 13, so we only are going to use 3 of them. So if my weight equals the goal, then I'll just return I. And remember that I is the amount of small bars we've used, right? And in each iteration, I is going up by 1, which means we're using a small bar each time. And then it's going to stop when it runs out of small bars. So I'll just return I, right? And now if it's reached this point, as I said before, right? When we use a return statement, whatever comes after the return statement, if a value is returned, then none of that code is executed. So if my weight equals the goal, then I'm going to pass this value back, and now it's done. But let's say that I don't have enough small bars, right? So if we've reached this point, that means we've used all of our big bars, all of our small bars, and we still haven't reached the goal, kind of like how this one is. Then at that point, I'll just do what it says, which is return -1 if it can't be done, right? Because if my weight had already reached the goal, then it would have returned it by then within the for loop. But if it's exited the for loop without returning the value, right, because if it's here, that means it hasn't returned it, then that means we've used up everything we have and still haven't reached the goal weight. So I just want to return -1. Cool, so if I run this, everything will work. Awesome, so this was a problem where we used a variety of if statements, while loops, and for loops. I'll see you guys in the next video.